Ladies and gentlemen, we are here. We are ready to go. I believe right now Maru is up 3? Yeah, he's up 3. So, welcome to this match from the awesome OlimoLeague Holiday Invitational. So, Holiday Special Invitational number 8. For those of you that don't know how this goes, and it's a bit confusing, so I will be explaining. It is all kill format. How this invitational was, if you didn't catch it live, it was 4 players from Korea, 4 players from Europe, all kill format. Each team would have 2 revives, so you pit 2 players up against each other. It's a best of 1. The player that wins goes on. The player that loses cannot play unless a revive is used to bring them back in. So on and so forth until one team runs out of players. Maru right now, I believe, is up. Has beaten, up to this point, to kind of explain how it's gone, Maru has actually beaten Rainer, Max Pax, and one other player that I can't remember who was representing Europe. But now Clem has been brought out. So we got a TVT. And this is a bit worrying here because, you know, Maru and Clem, to be honest, in the past, and I'm going to set this as a best of 3 because how we're doing it is these players have played 3 times in this invitational. So we're going to treat it as a best of 3. I don't know the result, but we're going to see how they do. But the last few times Maru and Clem have faced, let's just say it wasn't exactly the most fair for Clem. Maru kind of stomped him in the last 3 best of 5s that they. To be fair, it was best of 5s, you know, and best of 3s. It was not just straight up. You know, it was longer series. But Maru, his TVT, of course, is pretty much on another level. I think the only Terran that really kind of challenges him is Bunny, and that's of course because him and Bunny are teammates, they're practice partners, so of course Bunny's going to be really good at that matchup, ergo proxy from having the best practice partner. But Maru's just really good at these timings, and he's really good at finding these little gaps. And interestingly enough, I mean, how else would Maru open it up but with cheese? Proxy barracks, tech lag down, concussive shell, marauders on the way. Now this build order, strangely enough, is actually countered because Clem has gone 2 ranks Reaper in base, and this Reaper is going to go across the map. It's going to see, oh, your factory is just finished. I have free reign of the main base, and that's absolutely true. There's not much that Maru can do right now to really stop this Reaper aside from pull workers, and even then, you're going to be having, you know, a second Reaper joining this pretty soon. That Hellion is not out, but the concussive shell marauders are going to come across the map. And this is where it gets a bit messy. Already, Bunker gonna go down for Clem. He's found 3 worker kills. Gonna look for a 5th. Now it's 4 go down, but the Reapers just gonna be pulled away as the Hellion is out. 2 Reapers and a Marine at home. Is it decent army for fighting this? Honestly, I actually don't think these Marauders can do it. Some great KD8 charges from Clem. Second Marauder gonna be pulled forward. The Reaper goes down, but a Marauder has fallen. A second one is gonna go down. This is not how you want to start this game out if you are Maru. He's bringing the boys. I mean, how else would this go other than to bring the boys? But right now, Clem, I mean, this is just a great spot to be in. You get 5 worker kills. You don't lose really anything. Maru committed a lot to the concussive shell marauders, and again, it just goes to show the 2 ranks Reaper opening actually does counter it really well. And of course, had Clem proxied it, it would have been a bit more of a base race, but because Clem did it in base, because he did the more kind of macro version of it, he was able to still get Reapers across the map, still find damage and defend. And now he's gonna look for a push out. What does Maru have? I mean, it's 3 Hellions, a Marauder. It's not a very large army for Maru, but Clem doesn't want to commit on in, doesn't really have a whole lot to work with. They're just gonna pull back, and I think that's absolutely reasonable for Clem to do. Right now, he has a command center being built. Maru does not really have that luxury. Maru has a starport, has a factory on the way. There's no barracks at home for Maru. He will finally start up a CC, but it's going to be, I mean, that's almost an entire minute later than Clem's. And yeah, I mean, this is kind of the exact opposite of every time they've faced in the past. Usually, when Maru and Clem have faced in the past month, you know, 2 months or so, it's been, oh, you know, Clem tries to do kind of, you know, a slightly aggressive build, you know, a Terran opener, but Maru has kind of a perfect counter to it, or handles just the macro or the micro incredibly well. and then is able to push that to a victory. No way that gets a kill. Maru lands the barracks and the Marine pops out and actually gets a kill on an SCV. That's not allowed. That's not actually supposed to happen. But this barracks will go down. I mean, I have to imagine Maru's gonna go, what, from this position? Can you go mech? I don't think so. You have to rebuild the barracks now so you can get another factory. It is 4 Hellions into the main base. See, this should actually get decent damage done. Units will be pulled. 5 SCVs end up going down. The auto turret was expended. Maru is still trying to micro. Does manage to get 7, 8 SCVs. Oh, but the medevac is going to fall. So all these units are now forfeit. And I mean, sure, you get a lot of damage. Like, that's a decent amount of damage. But mind you, Maru was already behind on workers. Mind you, Clem right now is pumping 2 SCVs at a time. And you committed in your Hellions. And your medevac. You didn't kill any units. Right now, Maru at home, he has a tank, a Cyclone, a Raven, and that is it. There's a Marauder here. That Marauder is just kind of hanging out. Bob, the Marauder, you know, he's saying hi to his friends that are in these, you know, massive mechanical vehicles, and he's like, hey guys, I'm here too. How y'all doing? And they're saying, oh yeah, no, we're good, Bob, we're good, Bob. I mean, Clem right now, almost 30 supply in the lead. Tank, Cyclone, Reaper still alive, 2 Ravens. It's a whole lot for Clem. There's not a lot here for Maru. We'll see if, I mean, if you can survive. There should be an interference matrix ready for this first tank. Or it might just even be auto turrets. Yeah, I don't think you even need to waste the energy on an interference matrix. Auto turrets go down. Clem should be able to crush through this. There's not really much you can do as Maru. And the opening went as bad as it did. GG. Clem is going to fight back for Team Europe and take the first game against Maru. Right now, it is 4-3 in the actual kind of OlimoLeague format. But, oh sorry, I put them on the wrong ones. In the top right, I didn't do intros last time, but we of course have Liquid Clem, who has beaten in a row Dark, Trap, and Rogue after defeating Maru, which we did just see. But the revive has been used for Team Korea. It's a TVT once again in the bottom right. That's the top left, bottom right. I don't know. You know, it's early. It's early, man. I haven't casted for a week. We're still getting back into the swing of things. You know, your brain's a little bit foggy after Christmas. You ate a lot of food. You've been relaxing. But it's Maru. So yeah, both these players looking incredibly good right now. Of course, Clem, I mean, being able to get those wins against Rogue, Dark, and Trap is astounding. It looked really solid. I mean, of course, you always expect Clem's TVZ to be good, but also seeing his TVP being able to take out Trap. The savior right now for Team Europe in this Invitational. And Maru has been brought back to try and deal with him. And I think that's the best call, because of course, again, Maru, TVT, right now is currently at like an 80% win rate. He's lost 2 series, I think, in the past. Is it only 1 series? I think he's only lost 1 series against Bunny in the past like 2 months. It's like a 90% win rate in TVT. So it makes sense, of course, to bring Maru back here to try and see what you can do to find the victory. And it's on Pride of Alteris, which is, of course, a very, very large map. So, you know, this map is naturally going to extend past 8 minutes. You're usually going to go longer than 8 minutes on this map. And that's where Maru's strong suit is the late game TVT. You know, even when he faces players like Hero Marine, who are known for just, you know, their standard macro play, Maru is usually the one to take those games, to take those victories. His expertise with, you know, the late game army composition, Marine, Tank, Raven, Viking, sometimes adding in Liberators or Battle Cruisers for kind of like for bait and for harassment, is just almost unmatched. In fact, I think the only player who matched it was TY back when they were both, you know, vying for those GSL wins. So yeah, this is exciting. Because Clem, I mean, the past few times I've seen him play, one of the biggest things that I've noticed is it definitely has felt like that Clem was in kind of a rebuilding stage, where he was definitely trying to kind of find his groove with the matchups. You know, TVT especially, he needed to kind of, I think, reapproach the way he was looking at it, or find kind of his groove, his style with it, that worked for him. And he was also starting to, lose some series and TVZs and TVPs. Of course, the TVZ that I think I saw him lose was against Dark and against Raynor once, but Clem was really trying to work on his TVT and was trying to definitely get that matchup into a place where it was up to par with his other ones. And I think, getting closer. And Clem, of course, is still very, very young, so there's a lot of time to improve for him. So already, being able to get the first win against Maru is obviously a great facet for him, but does have to do it again. And if you do it again, of course, as a reminder for how this Invitational works, it is all-kill format, so there's 2 revives for both teams. So even if you kill Maru a second time, he's got a 3rd life. And maybe that's not the most fun position to be in, where you have to suddenly beat Maru 3 times. But if there's anyone who can do it, it's Clem. It is Clem. Or even just beat Maru twice. Someone else beats him. They bring out another, maybe Maru's brought out again. We'll see. But as is right now, in their kind of the mini series within this actual event, right now, Clem having that edge. The Reaper's gonna try and go in. Do manage to find themselves 2 SCV kills and the way on out. Of course, any worker kills that you can get while also not losing anything are worthwhile. But Hellions gonna catch the Reapers. Say no can do on you getting away. Oh, the jukes. The jukes, the jives, this Reaper. Oh, no, he's gonna die anyway. Oh, KDA charge. Maru trying to save the Reaper. Will he scout the... He's actually going to scout the starport. Oh, that's rich. So Maru does now know that it was a proxy starport. Of course, you probably kind of got that idea from how quick that medevac made it across the map with the units in it. So I don't think Maru is surprised at all by seeing that. Does see the tech lab and the fact that it was probably a Raven or a Cloaked Banshee. So that's a pretty big piece of information to have, is what that add-on is on the starport. But the cool part is Clem's actually gone into a 2nd starport at home. So not floating it back, not wasting that time, just goes into a 2nd starport. And this kind of does one of 2 things. A, Clem is going to be able to build both Ravens and Vikings. He's going to have a very, very strong air army, faster than Maru. But B, the Marine count and the tank count is not quite going to be there, because you're expending a lot of gas and minerals on those air units. So, you already see it was a 2 Cyclone opener for Clem, so he's already down a tank. But it's going to be very hard for him to kind of produce all these units at once. It's going to be a very strong army, though. It's going to be a very, very strong army when he does push out. And we'll see what that timing is going to be for it. I think another kind of worry with it is looking at the stim timing. Is, do you continue to build Ravens? And it looks like the answer is going to be no. Clem does want to get his stim up at a reasonable time, so it's just going to float the 2nd starport back. Obviously, you will be able to use it back at home. Having extra Vikings is always welcome in TVT. Having the air dominance, is such an important thing in TVT. The big difference that you'll see, when you look at like a Maru Bunny series, when you look at, Maru versus any Terran in the late game, Maru Clem in the late game, the big thing is the air control. If you have enough energy, if you have more Ravens, you're going to have enough energy to both go, get interference matrices, anti-armor missiles, and still put down turrets. Now, this run by is a bit dangerous. Maru runs his own SCVs into a choke point. Ends up losing only 4, which is actually, I think, better than you would have expected. But Clem is looking for a push out. Tanks going to be pulled back. What is the play here? It's auto turrets for Clem. The counter auto turrets from Maru and the immediate interference matrices. And I actually don't think this push is really going to work out for Clem. Maru actually handles that spell casting beautifully and is now going to try and chase this down. The sieged up tank in the brush. He's going to stop that. That was surprising because, again, Clem did just kind of have more. He had additional Ravens, he had additional Vikings, but he didn't have them with the army. And he used all of his energy on missile turrets with just the 2 Ravens that were there. Or he didn't have additional Ravens, no, he only had 2 to 3, sorry. but used it all on missile turrets. Maru has, of course, enough energy, as I said, to get off both an interference matrix and his own missile turrets, and that really does end up making a big difference when it comes down to the fight. Is Maru just sieging for these 4 tanks. Kind of a skirmish of positioning at the middle of the map, as both players have stim completed. Clem actually didn't have stim finished for that attack, and Maru has started on his +1/+1. And this is something that I'll always kind of point out about Maru. It's just something that he does so very well, is that Maru will always get his +1/+1 timings. You will never see a game where Maru does not prioritize his upgrades, and it can make such a massive difference. Because you'll see some games where Maru's actually up, I mean, like 2 upgrades. And that's going to be this game, because Clem has not started his +1/+1. Again, you're working with 3 factory production. So no, you're not just spending the 150 gas for your 2 Vikings at a time. You're spending now, 215 gas plus your tank. 300 gas plus your additional racks, combat shields. Clem does not have a lot of gas available. Meanwhile, Maru, single factory right now. Single starport, 3 racks. A lot of money for him is being used to build up, yes, a good enough army to fight, but also saving enough money to get into what he needs, his upgrades. And you already have the armory on the way again. I mean, this is just, Maru does this so well. And this is my main worry here right now for Clem is, well, yes, you have a massive army. Yes, you're going to have more Vikings. It's 11-5 right now because, again, it's 3 starports producing Vikings for Clem. But you're even on workers. And Maru will have +2/+2 starting up very, very shortly. I mean, the money for Maru is there. There's actually, it is interesting because that's 2 armories that immediately go down for Clem as he starts up his 1/1. So I do like this from Clem. As of course, as bad as it will be that he's going to be down upgrades for the bio, and that can make difference in fights, especially until you have your +2 ground weapons for your tanks. That can actually make a pretty big difference because it takes 2 tank shots to kill a Marine, not just 1. And so the Marines have value until, or have a lot more value up until the point where the tanks get their upgrades. As soon as +2 vehicle weapons is done, the Marines are fodder, pretty much. They are there to soak up damage. They're there to pretty much be a distraction and to be used for run bys, as we are seeing Maru do now. It's pretty much their value. What Clem is doing is Clem is saying, listen, I already had 2 starports because I went for the proxy. So why not just get 2 armories? Because you can both then start up vehicle weapons and ship attacks. You can get your Viking attack upgrades, which are very, very good. If your Vikings have +1 and you have more of them, you are going to dominate those fights. And I really like that idea from Clem. The issue right now, of course, you just don't have the gas for it. We'll finally start up plating and ship weapons. So it's not really going to be focusing on the tank upgrades, which is fine. But getting your tank upgrades, I think, is just such an important... It's just such an important upgrade in TVT. I find it hard to kind of say, oh yeah, I'm going to get ship and vehicle plating. Because even if you win the air fight, if Maru's tanks have +2, your ground army is dead. All your Marines are dead, and your tanks get eliminated. Maru should have enough left over to kill your Vikings with just Marines. And I think that's kind of where the math is going to get a bit weird here in this game. Because Maru is finishing up 2-2. Has +1 done for his tanks as well. Both players right now sitting 78 workers, 74, both on 4 bases. Remarkably even. The only difference being right now, that upgrade. And we'll see how much of a difference it does end up making. What are the armies looking like, though? 20 Vikings for Clem. 20! And you actually see Maru hasn't even tried to contest it. I mean, Maru, ooh, this is great. Actually stims in. Marine's just going to take down the tanks. I mean, he has +2. Your tanks, they have no upgrades, so Maru's not really worried about taking a bad trade there. He's going to just continue to fight damage. Maru's coming in on the other flank as well. The tanks siege up Maru. From every angle, your air army doesn't matter, Clem. Because Maru just has more on the ground, and this is what I'm talking about. Is sure, it's great. Clem is gonna have ship weapons. He's gonna have, you know, vehicle and ship plating. But Maru has +1 tanks and a 1-1 advantage on his Marines. He just stims in there. He's not really afraid of taking the fight. And suddenly, this massive air army, these 19 Vikings, are not really altogether that useful. Sure, they're gonna win. They're gonna be able to completely decimate Maru's air army. But is it gonna matter? I don't know, because the tanks are pushing forward. Clem's Marines are dying. Clem's tanks are now gonna go down. And you can't just land these Vikings, because then they'll also die. Maru, he's just trying to power push this down. Sure, all of his medevacs are gone. He's able to just get so much damage here. Clem's army, no longer what it was. The Vikings in the sky will have to try and land at some point. And Clem waiting for smart servos for that. Which does, of course, speed up the transformations of Hellbats, Thors. I believe, does it speed up the transformation for Vikings? It actually might. Here we go. Maru trying to continue to push this forward. He knows he has so many more tanks. Clem, can he hold on? A Liberator has been produced. The tanks in the back trying their hardest, but it just might not be enough. Clem's 2-2 didn't finish. The smart servos land with the Vikings, but it is not enough. GG. Maru is going to take the second game between these two players. All right. Here we are. I'm going to try to do this whole recap. So, again, apologies if the casting has been subpar for this series. My mind has kind of been all over the place, just a little bit. Again, I talked about it before. But, I mean, just not gonna, you know, coming back from a break, but I am back for good. I'm gonna be casting series again, so hopefully you guys are gonna be enjoying them. But I gotta do this recap. So, in the bottom right, the first revive for Team Korea has taken out Clem in their rematch. So they are 1-1 in their little mini best of 3. And then took out Rainer on the revive from Team Europe. It is Maru. And the last life for Team Europe. Closing out this best of 3. Actually, it might not even be. Might not even be closing it out. Because one more win, and we go to a best of 5, suddenly. But we really don't. It actually could end 2-2, and then we have an ace match. Anyway. It's Clem. He is on his 3rd or 2nd life. So, to explain what happened between last game and this game. Rainer was revived to face off against Maru. Maru won. This is Clem being revived now to face off. And now what is going to become a mini best of 3. If Clem wins this, we go to an ace match. Because with this format, with the revives, if both teams go 5-5, I believe, yeah, you would have one more game. Of course, Clem would be the last player, and then it would be a revive for Team Korea. So you'd actually have 11 games in this series. So it kind of, I guess it's technically a best of 11. Does that, can you do that? I don't think you can do that. You can do best of 9? Yeah. There's no way to do best of 11. However, if Maru wins, of course, he will not only win this kind of mini best of 3 that's happening here between Maru and Clem, but that will be the win for Team Korea in the Invitational, and all is right in the world. I don't know. That's it. That's the whole situation. I think I got all of the Spark notes. You know, I looked it up for my essay in school, just read the summary, and I think we kind of understand what the situation is, but it's been a close series, actually. It's been a close few games between these two players. Of course, the first game that Clem took was just a really well-handled early game, which is where he kind of fell apart in his last series against Maru. And the second one was really just the recognition of kind of the builds, where obviously it was a good idea from Clem. Is like, oh, well, I'm going to go into this army for air superiority. That's usually where Maru has strength. Is, oh my god, this is crazy. Never mind what I'm talking about. That doesn't matter. 2 Reapers have found their way into both players' mains, and there is nothing to deal with it. Okay, 9 at CB is going down for Maru. Will he be able to get the 9th of Clem's? Yes, but 10 go down across the map for him. 11. Oh, Clem. 12. Oh. Clem wins the brawl by 3. Why, why talk about hypotheticals, what the players are, what the players did in the last game? Because both players opened Double Reaper. They sent it across the long path of the map into the main. That... oh my. That was ridiculous. But Clem gets the better end of it. Clem is going to be up workers now. We'll see how he uses that advantage. Right now, not really altogether that much. You do have Maru immediately getting into the tank production. Both players started a Cyclone. Of course, when you open Double Reaper, it's going to be, Barracks, Reaper, Reactor. And then your factory follows that into your CC. And you're going to be producing. No. Maru built 2 more Reapers! Who expected it? Nobody. Nobody expects 2 more Reapers. The repairs coming out from Clem. Oh, 1 more goes down. Maru evens the score. Nobody wins the Reaper brawls against Maru. As you can see there, the Marine difference. Because Maru built 2 more Reapers. Just to get revenge. Oh, this is why I love, how Maru plays TVT. It is so fun. And both these players, it's so explosive the way they play TVT. And suddenly we're evened out. Only a 1 worker difference. Everything is now completely standard. Both players getting into their Ravens, into their tanks. Clem does have the slight advantage though. Again, Maru, he built 2 more Reapers. That's 100 gas. So your starport was delayed. Your Raven was delayed. So Clem is going to have just a slightly larger army and is going to look to try and push with it. He's actually going to siege up in range of this barracks. So Maru going to say, no barracks for you. That is not going to be allowed here on Curious Minds. Maru sieging 2 tanks forward. Auto turrets drop down from Clem. Auto turrets drop down from Maru. And very well handled there. Maru able just to get the tank kill. Doesn't lose anything for it. But Clem's still trying to push this. Clem, I feel like this might be just a little bit too aggressive if you actually try and go for it. If you're looking at the actual armies, Maru isn't incredibly far behind. He's actually up a tank, and sure, there's a large Marine count for Clem, and sure, he has an additional Raven. But I don't know if that's quite enough to push this down. But the upside for it, Clem has started on his 3rd CC. Vastly before, ooh, nice lock on. Vastly before Maru's. So that 3rd CC is going down on location for Clem. He's actually going up, I believe, to a 4th Raven, which is definitely a bit strange. Usually you'll see players cut it at 3. And the reason is, at 3 Ravens, you swap over your barracks to that tech lab and you start your stim. And that will usually give you a decent stim timing while also having a high Raven count right off the bat. We see that's what Maru did, actually. Oh no, only went up to 2. So Maru only went up to 2 and then immediately did the swap. Wanted the faster stim pack, and that's going to be a decent timing advantage, actually. Stim pack takes, I believe, around 70 seconds or so. A little over a minute to finish. If not more. And so Maru is going to have a massive advantage on that. But the Raven diff, is that 5? That's 5 Ravens! Clem's going up to 5 Ravens! Maru has 1! Four SCVs do go down here to this auto turret harass, and Maru gonna actually look to get even more. Just being so annoying. Clem, I mean, tries to get the workers surround, but losing 6 more SCVs. Maru now up 10. Maru may be on 2 bases. Maru may now be floating out CC to location, but Maru's up about 10 workers. As this game has gotten pretty strange, but you have to feel like, I mean, you have to feel like, again, stim is such a big upgrade to have. Maru having it done as Clem starts his is such a massive advantage. Like, I don't think it can be stated enough how big of an advantage that is. And Clem's gonna try and push this. But the issue is, there's so many Vikings here for Maru. All of the tanks, though, are interference matrix. Can Clem push through them in time? He doesn't have stim. He's just trying to stutter step forward the Marines. The Vikings are gonna land. 2 tanks survive. And 3 Ravens die. Clem is not able to push through. It looks so close, but again, the slow Marines trying to stutter step that forward just was not cutting it. And now Maru has his 3rd base established. Has cut down the Raven count of Clem. Still has his Viking count, has stim. +1/+1 started. I mean, it looked decent for Clem there, honestly. It looked decent. You have a lot of Ravens. You have a lot of Marines. You can make this push work. The issue is, he just didn't have quite enough. He didn't have enough to push through the Vikings and onto the last 2 tanks. Maru spread them back quite well. And so now Maru, he's going to have an upgrade advantage. It's not going to be a big difference like he did in the last game. It's not going to be a massive 1 minute timing, but it's going to be pretty big. And sure, Maru doesn't have altogether that many Marines, only sitting with 13 right now, but it might just be enough. Here we go, the push coming through. Clem is going to try and land and deal with this. Again, the slow Marines just pushing forward. Auto turrets have gone down. The tanks, just barely one survives. And Clem did just enough damage to make it work. I mean, the SCVs were pulled with that. 13 of them fall. It looks like the 3rd base is going to be forfeit for Clem. He has a both of his Ravens actually, not a double drop, but both his Ravens heading across the map. But I don't think you can really afford that. I think you need everything back at home right now. Because Maru is absolutely taking this lead and running with it. +1/+1 done. Stim and combat shields finished. And Clem has only just started combat shields. $30 supply lead for Maru. Right now has 5 Vikings. There's no Vikings for Clem. Has Liberators as well. Oh, this is just getting worse and worse for Clem. It's like, I'm gonna try and stay hopeful here, but I mean, Liberators added on, the air superiority already there for Maru. Maru can just slow push this. He doesn't need to force anything. He knows that Clem still has a decent Marine count. He knows that Clem, has the Ravens. So Maru, he's not going to force it. He's just going to slowly push forward with the Liberators, slowly push forward with the tanks, hopscotch these units forward until he can once again threaten this 3rd. And if he's able to once again get a liftoff, he's able to kill the 3rd, then that's game. That is game over. Here we go. Maru, he's going to try and dive on in. The tanks weren't sieged. The CC goes down. Now the tank's going to be focused. Clem, he's trying to bring everything in to fight this, but the tank spread is too good. GG. Maru is going to take it all. The best of 3. The show match, or not the show match, but the Invitational. That is it.